series win, very hard for DRX, but
Yeah.
not impossible. This isn't Genji. You know, T1 have shown inconsistencies. And we do dive straight in the ban. So DRX targeting that Caitlyn. They saw what happened between T1 and KT, and they don't want any of that heat.
I don't mind it, honestly. The Ashe is also going to be banned here, especially from the blue side. I think you do have some room to go ahead and go for some target bans. On the red side, we're slowly approaching a meta where it feels like you don't have a lot of room in terms of your bans. It's very difficult in terms of deciding what you're going to leave available. Like, we're already in a position now where, you know, they take away Sponge's Sejuani, they take away Ezreal. I think you have to ban Rumble. Otherwise, you know, maybe you say, okay, Zeus can deal with it, but Rumble's just very strong right now.
Yeah, it feels like a risk you want to give over, and they will ban that away. Feels like the bans on red side just very cemented. It just feels like you don't have too many options when it comes to sort of specific target bans. And DRX goes straight for the Callista here. So obviously a pick we see banned a decent amount, but we haven't honestly seen it played that much on the current patch. Did get those slight nerfs a while ago. One game, wow.
Yeah, here in the LCK, it's 1-0.
Yeah, so a powerful pick, but it definitely cements to me that Teddy and Pleta want to go hard in the bot lane. They really want to try and find an advantage there. T1 looking at the Azir for Faker. Obviously something he's very comfortable on. And then in this situation, could just end up taking a jungle for Ona here. We'll see what they opt to go for. Obviously, Nidalee not, you know, typically we've seen a lot of these AP junglers wanting to pair with like an AD mid, but like Vi is open and very popular. Could still just go the Nidalee himself if he really wanted to. Could pick up the AD from other areas. But actually opting to go for the Senna. This feels a little bit risky. Obviously, a lot of pairings to go with the Senna. It's something that T1's bot lane have played a lot, but you know, if you end up having a melee support who has to farm, it's so difficult to walk up against like a Callista Renata. That being said, DRX have to be a little bit careful. If you pick Renata here, you could end up playing into something like Senna Seraphine, which could be a really painful matchup.
Yeah.
If you pick the Nautilus away, that's obviously got a lot of value.
Remember this champ?
Yeah, the Nico. So looking to play that in the support role. A lot of harass, and I feel like, you know, still going to cause issues for a melee champion if Keria plays it, but not as counterable, I feel, as the Renata would have been. And it looks like they're just going to go for the Ornn for the scaling option, but I don't think this is going to be a fun time in the bot lane for T1, and Frog gets that Renekton as well, which we've seen really high prio. So I think draft-wise, DRX are doing really fine so far. Just comes down to finishing things out. Next stage of bans, I feel like T1 could just target mid laners. You know, with the Azir already locked in, you could really look to punish Yahu's pool here. Things like the Lucian still open and available. They opt to go for the Yone first and foremost. Does sync up with DRX composition, wanting to enact those dives. And I think it's no surprise DRX is banning away picks as Zeus might want to play. The Cannon would be very annoying to play into as the Renekton, as we've seen time and time again.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I think you could also consider maybe one ban towards Owner. Like, if you really want to get rid of his Nidalee, could be a decent option to go for here, because I feel like T1 felt forced to pick their bot lane before things started to get banned out even more, especially after seeing the Caitlyn Ashe bans and then the Callista Nico coming out. So I think that's part of the reason why we see the Senna Ornn coming out as well. The Taliyah going to be banned, and it's Jace as well, which has really risen in popularity here on this patch.
Yep, and I think Zeus definitely someone to be comfortable on it. The Taliyah ban said to me they were maybe scared of like a Taliyah Vi pickup, but we could just see T1 take Vi themselves if they really wanted to. I think that makes the most sense here. Get that lockdown, and also against the Callista, this is going to be a hard game to team fight into as a Callista. You know, you're into a Vi, you're into an Ornn, you're into an Azir. Going to be a difficult one for Teddy, even if he gets fed. Very easy to get targeted by the side of T1. And now DRX looking at the options for mid-jungle. Toying with the idea of the Viego. Honestly, like a Viego Ahri could be a pretty good combo. They go for the Viego, definitely. I'd actually go for the Aurelion Soul. This has been changed on this patch.
Yeah.
Got some buffs to like his overall kit in his late game, but the trade-off was they took away the tap queuing. we saw a lot of times when Aurelion Sol was played, it's like you tap Q, you proc like Comet, and you would be able to trade on the back of that. And we felt, you know, when we were talking about this change, that the loss of that would really remove him from pro play. But yeah, who feels confident? And then Poppy coming in. For Zeus in the top lane into the Renekton. So just wanting to play a tank there. Quite a low damage composition from T1, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, there is a lot of wombo combo when it comes to team fights. You know, the Vi goes in, you've got Ornhorn, you've got Azir, but, you know, if Faker's not alive doing damage, if Guma's not alive doing damage as the game goes later, you don't really have that much.
Yeah, also if you fall behind, if Guma falls behind, Senna is super vulnerable to being put behind, and she's already down in levels because of how the champion works.
Yeah.
And you can be like 5 levels down in the enemy AD carry. So if they lose bot lane and they don't find great success in these early ganks, I am actually genuinely concerned for T1's composition. There'll be a point in the game where this Aurelion Sol will really start to take off and become problematic. They do have answers to Callisto though, they do have a lot of pick potential, definitely playable. But I think DRX have navigated this draft pretty well. I think they should be happy. The main thing I'm concerned about is how the Aurelion Sol is going to do, because those changes to the tap Q, I don't know, it feels like it really hit his laning. Yeah. We'll have to see how Yehu can play it out, especially going up against Faker on Azir.
Especially with the Viego as well, it doesn't feel like you can make too much happen, especially if you don't have too much priority in mid. So definitely feels like they want to play through bot, try to get the Callista and the Nico ahead. We'll see if that works out as T1. They're in this for the long haul. They want to wait for that late game. Otherwise, they might not be doing too much. But let's get ready to hop onto the rip for game number 1. Alrighty, game number 1. As we get ready for this one, approaching the end of week 6 here already at the LCK. We already have one team who has made it into playoffs and, due to that, made it into Worlds with that spot. Of course, that is Gen G. Still waiting to see who else is going to make it into playoffs, and with only 3 weeks left and 1 day today, we will soon find out who's making it into playoffs and who we will see in those very important matches later on this year.
Yeah, I feel like when we get to this point in the season, particularly in summer when Worlds is on the line, it definitely feels really quite impactful. You know, we start seeing teams counting down how many wins they need, how many they need to make playoffs. We start tracking it as well. And looking at the schedule going forward, you know, we've obviously already started round 2. If you've lost to an easier team at the start of round 2, there can be a lot more weight on your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely can. And I'm very curious to see how this bottom lane is going to go, because a lot of priority here from the DRX bot lane. They say, okay, well, if we have to deal with Caitlyn Lux, we can't play this lane, right? So we have to ban that away. We have to ban the Ashe away, and that way we can force pressure and control of this bottom lane and hope that Teddy and Pleta can carry us across the line. And Sponge has been one of the guys that's getting a lot of action done, but Teddy and Pleta have certainly been the team fight masters here on the side of DRX.
Yeah, and opting into strong lanes against Guma and Carrier is pretty cool to see. Also, Pleta on the Nico, he's had 1 game on Renata, and other than that, every single time he's played, every single game this summer has been on a melee champion. So definitely not something we've seen him bring out this summer so far. But so far, having a good time into Guma and Carrier, and this is kind of the expectation. You're not going to be able to walk up in lane and contest. Sponge is actually heading over. Looks like he's trying to challenge Ona, who's still level 2. He knows he has the backing from mid and bot. Yeah,
they saw the miss, so they know that Sponge is here. There was a ping that already went down as Sponge, he tried to pull the blue buff, and it went the other way. So now Oner's here, but he's got that support. As you mentioned, Pleta's coming over, and he will help get this one. Oner's just going to give up on the blue buff. He says, there's no way I can fight for that one. Might even get his Gromp taken away as well, as that is going to reset. Very awkward here for Oner, who's also going to get rooted down. Not in danger of dying, as Teddy is not here just yet, but a bit of a skirmish brewing in the T1 jungle right now. As the 3-on-3 comes in, and it's really just a fight over the Gromp.
I've never seen such a heavy contest over a Gromp.
I've seen the Gromp get kills, so it can be very valuable. But Yeah, it looks like eventually DRX are just going to give up on it. They want to return to lane, and they want to continue pressuring, and Sponge is just going to say, okay, I'll take the double scuttle instead.
Still managed to get that blue, so there's something that came out from the invade, but Teddy had to move back to pick up the wave, and it's like things are going to continue as usual. Looking for Faker now, though, but he is playing Azir. Don't really lose anything from going for that. Sponge obviously is just pathing towards the top side for that scuttle anyway, but figured they'd just try.
It's very aggressive overall from the DRX squad. I feel like they've come in here with a very specific strategy against T1, which is get in their face early and often, and certainly this comp does that.
Yeah, it feels like everyone apart from the Aurelion Sol is just, I mean, even Yahoo's been challenging Faker up in his face, but in terms of the composition, everyone is just trying to take these early skirmishes, and Yahoo is the late game win con that they're relying on in this situation. You see a root come out, but not really any follow-up going to come through. And, you know, Carry is a little bit behind in farm, but that's kind of expected. So far, Guma and Carry have been taking a decent amount of harass, but holding up pretty well, all things considered, with how rough the matchup is.
Yeah, I mean, they're holding on. That's really what they're trying to do here, and just wait for the late game, wait for the Senna to eventually get levels, wait for the Orin items to come through, and then you'll have damage with an Azir and a late game Senna, but you do have to wait for quite a while, as all focus on Sponge, who is definitely ahead in the jungle. Looking to see where he's going to path next.
Yeah, do have grubs spawning up pretty soon, and yeah, a lot of time spent in the enemy jungle. I think we definitely saw that one. Both skulls secured as well, and Sponge having a pretty good time so far. But like grubs might be a point of contest, especially when you have this Renekton. Definitely a lot of strength in those early grub fights. But it looks like Sponge is just going to start up the dragon, but will be spotted if Ona looks for him.
Yeah, thing is, I mean, Faker's not mid, and they have Prio from bot. So Sponge just knows he can start this up immediately, and he should. I think this is exactly the way you have to play this as the Viego. Try to get early objective wins. And so far, I've been nothing but impressed by DRX.
Yeah, the timing's so good that Faker's back because, you know, they obviously have a lot of Prio bot, they have a lot of Prio top, but mid is the one where you're like, you know, we saw Yahoo forced back by Faker, but because of the timing, he's able to actually find a point where Yahoo is there and Faker isn't. Now Ona's going to go straight to the grubs, but Sponge is going to come and challenge, and with Frog being level 6 and with this much Prio, I think Ona's going to have to stop him.
Yeah, Ona is up a level, and he is going to get 2 of the grubs. And with Faker nearby level 6, they were considering it, but especially seeing Pleta in mid, they're just going to back off, and that's 1 grub over to DRX.
Yep. Just getting a single grub makes a big difference because the first one each side takes gets that XP bonus from the junglers, so Sponge happy to get at least 1, and considering he already got the dragon, I think that's an okay trade for DRX, but obviously Ona gets those 2 and able to disengage. Gold still even, and obviously not too much advantage is given over, but I'm just glad DRX are, you know, challenging where they can and showing life in this one.
Yeah, they absolutely need to as well. I think your Viego, your Kalista, they need to get rolling in this game to prevent T1 from eventually snowballing into the late game. The top lane, we haven't looked at it too much because the focus has all been on the jungle and the bot lane. But yeah, it's, you know, Renekton's ahead by a little bit. And the Poppy's doing a good job of neutralizing it for now. And there is going to be 1 plate that goes down here as Frog looks to push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah, just getting little advantages here and there. No plate taken yet in the bot lane, so I haven't really had a window for that. And I think it is a bit scary into the Ornn, especially with 6 now. If Vi ends up being there as well, could just go down. Ona does spot Sponge, but doesn't want to challenge. And now, Frog gone for a roam here. Still on Azir.
Yeah.
So gets a ward down, but not really able to find anything mid. And this definitely feels like a pretty defensive game from T1, just tracking, marking Sponge. Not really able to do much in terms of aggression, but just happy to farm up. And, you know, they had some little CS disadvantage, but a lot of them have closed the gap in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, mid very even. Bot actually very even between the Ornn and the Kalista. And yeah, I think that, you know, even though DRX have been doing a lot of the right things, they still need to find some bigger objectives, bigger wins here in the early to mid game if they want to continue pushing the envelope in this game. Otherwise, T1 just going to sit back, farm up, hang out, grab a little bevy. But yeah, they're just kind of farming as DRX at this point.
Yeah, I feel like possibly when we get to like that second dragon, that could be a point of contention, or the second herald. I feel like the first ones, we get a lot more trading. Second can be a bigger fight. Also interesting, we haven't really seen Guma move up, because we often see centers make that move up for their grubs just to get a ton of souls from them. So maybe we'll make that move when it comes to the next one. Now Sponge angling mid, but I'm going to remind you, it's Nazir.
It's still Azir. That didn't change.
Did not change in the past couple of minutes.
Yeah. And it is Faker who is willing to get very aggressive and look for plays and maybe put himself in a rough spots, but he hasn't really done that this game. I think everybody on the side of DRX is on their page, the same page, but also everybody on the side of T1 is on the same page. They're just sitting back, farming, not really taking any risks, and they don't necessarily have to. As long as the game stays in this very, you know, kind of sleepy, even spot, they will be very happy as the game comes along. I have seen Aurelion Souls do crazy things in late games, though. We all know Chovy, obviously before the changes, when the Aurelion Soul was very popular, he was hitting like 4,000. As I say that about Faker, he is now going to get knocked up, and he will just dash away. Owner goes in, and he's alone. So he realizes, hey, I'm just going to back away. And Faker's just fine, doesn't even have to flash.
Yeah, unfortunately the CC layering's not quite there for the ult from the Aurelion Sol. I'll be honest though, you know, I felt like the tap nerfs could have really hurt Yehu, but his laning's been fine, and you know, with those tap nerfs, they gave him some strength to like the ult in the late stage of the game. So if he's doing fine in lane, he could become a major problem for T1 later on.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about Chovy and what he's done in late games as Aurelion Sol. He was hitting like 4,000 Stardust, and he was ulting, and it would just push everybody off the map, because obviously once you get that empowered ult, it just hits everyone, and it just does ridiculous damage to the point where, yes, we have a very tanky core on the side of T1, but you know, if he gets really fed, then maybe he just blows everybody up and forces them away from a big objective like an Elder or like a Baron. I mean, the Drakes have been taken very quickly here from DRX, so we might even see something like an Elder fight in this game.
I think as well, you know, with Aurelion Sol's ult, the empowered one doing so much damage to everyone. Oh, I'm not sure more's coming from that. With his ult doing so much damage, particularly for squishy people like Senna, we always see how small a health bar is. You could just lose half your health bar just from the extended AoE.
Dan, I know you're very passionate about talking about Senna and how squishy she is, but now we have a Chemtech Soul.
Oh.
So I implore you to pay attention in the future.
Yeah, that's my bad. Pretty bad for DRX, honestly. There is a Chemtech and not a more desirable Drake, considering they already have 2 in the bag. So a bit unfortunate for them. They definitely would have hoped for a higher priority one. But I think that's a big reason why this Aurelion Sol is important and has that scaling aspect to it. Because I think if you had a mid laner like maybe like an Ahri here, you'd be super upset at a Chemtech Soul just giving you no real late game option in the back of it. Oh, Frog in trouble.
Yeah, it's a Senna gank that comes in, but again, this is Renekton, and they're just going to try to turn this one around. They got Viego coming up here as well as the TP, and that's an Aurelion Sol. You're not getting away from that as he glides on in. The ult has to be flashed by Guma, and that's a nice first blood going to DRX.
Yeah, it goes really well. They end up churning around the play, getting the kill onto the Poppy, and bearing the flash from Guma. We see Carrier going to TP in to defend this bot lane tower, but overall, DRX get a winning play, and things looking good for them.
Yeah, it's absolutely good, and yes, Faker did get one plate in mid. He's going to feel good about that, but Yehu, with the aggressive TP up to the top side, really loved that, as he knows he's able to close the gap on that Aurelion Sol. T1 trying to get what they can in trade. Looks like they should be able to get this red buff, but still got to be feeling good, especially able to scale up your Aurelion Sol faster than normally.
Yeah, and also Frog doing a pretty good job. We've seen Renekton's have more and more impact in the later team fights than it really used to. And having this Black Cleave already, with it being, you know, this Poppy, this Ornn as well, a lot of value from that armor shred.
See a little bit of a swap in terms of lanes here from the side of DRX. They're going to send their bot lane mid and their Aurelion Soul top, and Renekton is going down to the bottom lane. Frog still has his TP, so it looks like they are setting up for the Rift Herald when it does spawn.
Yeah,
eventually.
I think it's super hard to hit mid tower when you're against an Ornn in particular, but Ornn Vi, if you ever step up and try and hit it, it's so easy and just to set up those engages. And so DRX put a lot of priority towards that Herald. The counterplay is that T1 trying to apply pressure on the bot side. Frog will clear out that Fierce Wave, but now he's kind of trapped under the tower. Does have ult coming up in a second, so maybe if you can keep this wave away, you can prevent the dive, but Faker might just shuffle him if he does.
The root's going to come in, but that's Dominus as he goes in. The flash from Owner, but they just don't have the damage. I mean, this is under a turret against a Fed Renekton with Dominus and Black Cleaver finish, so
yeah, Frog
that dive did not work.
Playing it really well. I mean, the flash looked weird, but he knew if he got flashed on the edge of the tower, he'd get immediately ulted by Faker, so put himself back deeper under the tower, able to clear the wave, able to negate the play. Yes, it cost his flash and ult, but I think he'd be happy with that one. In the meantime, DRX managed to get that Herald. And now looking for some pressure in the enemy jungle. They might find Zeus. Looks like he just managed to dip away from danger there.
Yeah, but, you know, even if Zeus doesn't go down, it looks like first turret blood should be going the way of DRX. And, yes, I mean, Frog's going to be pushed off of this one, but the damage is already done up here on the top side. Yehu has set this up, and they have the Rift Herald, which they will probably put into the mid lane now.
Yeah.
So DRX ahead of tempo here, and nearly a 2,000 gold lead. Will be short up a little bit by Faker picking up this turret, but still feels good for DRX.
Yeah, it feels like they're making all the right decisions in this game, honestly, which, you know, considering how many struggles DRX have had in the last several weeks, this is such a good look for them. And again, it's still early days. It's not a game over sort of gold lead. It's now just 1,000 after that turret was taken, but this is such a promising start from a team who've had so many struggles.
Yeah, it's really good to see. It's kind of funny, you know, Micro, the coach from DRX, he was talking about how a lot of the guys are struggling from confidence issues from such a long losing streak, but funnily enough, Sponge was very confident going into T1. He was like, no, I think we can kill these guys. I think we can beat them.
Yeah, and in fairness,
yeah.
Frog, he wasn't there for the big losing streak, so he's just coming back in like, hey guys, you know, how's it going?
He's vibing.
He's vibing.
He's hanging out. He's like, you know,
in his lane, flourishing.
Just gonna try my best. And, you know, if Sponge and Frog feel confident,
yeah,
who's to say the rest of them aren't confident? Out of nowhere here against T1.
I think as well, playoff chances aren't gone for DRX, but at this point, you know, you're not thinking about that anymore. You're really just thinking about the game in front of you. And right now, so far, it's gone pretty good. Now, TP's going to come in to try and deny this Herald, and I don't think they're going to get the value from it as a result. T1 going in force to prevent this.
I mean, DRX still here as well, but yeah, that pushback and no charge means that the Herald does not get a charge, and DRX moving now towards the Dragon. Feels like maybe with that pressure, they should have just moved towards the Dragon earlier, but trying to stay together as a team.
Yeah, T1 going to struggle to approach. Control over Banana Brush and the Aurelion Soul being able to put down that field does make it hard, but Ona looking for a flank.
This is a big ult from the side of Carry. It's going to hit 4 people, and the ult from Zeus going to knock back the Aurelion Soul as a big ult will come from the Aurelion Soul. But now the Vi goes in, and we do have the Nico pop-up, but a lot of members on the side of DRX are low. But where's the damage from T1? So many low health bars here on the side of DRX, but nobody can kill anything. Finally, Carrier will get the second kill onto the Viego, and Guba on the Senna level 8 is able to get that final kill onto Pleta as T1 finally turned that fight around.
Super scrappy fight there, but T1 edge up in the end. Guma getting a ton of value in that fight, just unhit for the whole time. And the CC from T1, the target selection ends up going in their favor, but still felt very close, very down to the wire there. Yeah, I mean, Sponge nearly, you saw him getting the resets, and you can kind of see why he was the main focus target for T1. The ult comes across the whole team. Unfortunately, they could have punished Yehu more, but he gets knocked away. But then Ona, you know, they already have Sponge half HP. They ult him to focus. He nearly goes down, but it's a good flash. And then he starts getting this value from the ult. Ults Faker, gets the reset, gets another reset for Zeus, and then he slams Carrier, but doesn't quite have the damage to kill him. And that's where the momentum stops. You know, Guma has just been free hitting this whole time. and unfortunately, no one else really able to do enough in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very close one. I feel like T1 got kind of maximum value out of those team fight ultimates from the Poppy and the Ornn especially. And now trying to get to work here on a Frog who just got his Dominus back, was probably spamming that one, and now do they have the damage to chase him all the way down the lane? The double slice and dice will come in, and Frog does get away. Does
manage to dip out of that one. They will still lose that tier 1 tower in the top lane, but Frog's been doing a pretty good job of weak siding, getting away from sticky situations, and it will just be a trade of towers in the side lane. Even with that fight loss, it was slight, so the gold is about even right now between the two teams, although T1 looking for a bit more here. TP gonna come in, they won't give up this tier 2 if they can help it.
Yeah, with the TP, they do keep it alive. Without the TP, I think that goes down and T1 are able to back away, but they keep it alive, but it will cost the teleport. And now, you know, a one-team fight, a delay on the Elder Drake spawner, which is, of course, the Chemtech Soul. And T1 are feeling pretty good. I mean, the gold lead has really been chunked down. It's only about 300, 400 at this point in time. And you're still hanging out, scaling really well. The one issue that we have highlighted many times is the fact that Yehu, he's already at 181 stacks. He's doing pretty well for himself, and he has a kill and 2 assists, has not died in this game, and is farming well. So very excited to see if Yehu can carry them in the late game.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I feel like Sponge getting the resets is huge value, but once Yehu comes online, he is going to be the main force in those team fights. There are a lot of tanks on the side of T1, which can be a bit of a pain to cut through. But Leandri's already completed, and it looks like either Void Staff or Crypt Bloom going to be next for Yehu for that pen. So going to be a problem. But T1 have to answer. Faker could be in trouble.
Yeah, trying to punish Faker in the side lane. Not the first team to do this, and Faker is going to dash away.
Yep, they don't overchase. Sponge could have just ulted on a Faker, but Ona and Guma, we're moving over. And Sponge opts not to overstep in that situation. But looking for angles still. Not really bothered by the fact that they obviously lost out in that Drake fight. Still know what their comp needs to do and still looking to challenge.
Here comes Owner now, thinking about getting onto Yehu, but Sponge is there. There's vision as well. Red buff on Faker could have been a nice angle for a 2v2, but not going to force the issue here. As now the bottom laners just kind of playing around here in mid. Carrier already level 13. Ahead of Teddy in terms of levels, and now Sponge going 1v1 versus Owner. They're going to get the knock-up on a Yehu, but there's no follow-up here from the side of T1, so a little bit of a disengage ult.
Yeah, and I think DRX happy just to get the Ornal on that one. Don't need to stay around for more, but it is such a massive factor in the team fights for T1. And, you know, oftentimes we can see, you know, when we have Senna plus, you know, tank lanes, the tank later on doesn't get as much farm or maybe struggle to get farm in lane. Carrier is very farmed right now.
Yeah.
201 CS, he is super bulky.
Not really going to chunk through this one as the ult is going to come down, hits the Senna, and a bit of damage here on a Carrier. But it's pretty much just Yehu trying to hold on to this mid wave. Everybody else is backing.
Yeah, very scrappy, and Sponge playing super aggressively up in the face of the T1 there. Obviously has his ult to buffer like a Vial, but now TP coming in, they really want this mid tier 1, and there's nothing DRX can do to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody just backed, so Yehu alone is not going to try to hold on to that one. He will stick around and pick up as much Stardust as possible. He's at 215. And he is still scaling really well. It's kind of a really scary dragon at this point in the game. But
I think as well, we're going to need to talk a bit about the difference in teamfight power when he has the empowered ult versus the non-empowered ult. Because that can really make a big difference. Obviously, having it ready for significant fights makes all the difference, but T1 often a team who will just sporadically start Baron.
DRX.
And you're not always going to have it. Yeah, they're not even going towards the Dragon. They're looking for a pick here, potentially.
They saw that it was Chemtech Soul, and they're like, yeah, we don't really care about that. We're just going to try to set up on Baron. Now, T1 handled this well. I don't think that DRX were fooling anyone there, as there is vision now in the Baron pit. And so T1 will just get another Chemtech Drake, as now, little fight coming in, but Carrier goes way too deep by himself, as now getting flanked by Frog. He is all alone in the enemy jungle. Down he will go, That is that very tanky Orange just dead, and now DRX looking at that Baron.
Yeah, Ornament came in for carry and he was like, I'm invincible. Apparently not, is the lesson he quickly learned. And empowered ult for Yehu now. One member of T1 down, carry no TP. They used it for the mid tier 1. DRX want to start up this Baron.
T1. Okay, this Baron, specifically the Hunter Baron, does a lot of damage, but this is going to be a rough steal from the side of Owner. I mean, there's a Kalista, you've got Smite, and they're down a member as the knockback comes in, and now it's just a massive Aurelion Soul ult, and the Kalista gets the Baron, and T1 do a bunch of damage, but they're losing everything else. Nobody on the side of DRX will fall except Sponge, and Zeus is just on the run here. Yehu looking for a little bit more, and he should be. Okay.
Oh, too much healing, too much healing.
So the plants are going to come in, and that's fine. That would have just been the bonus. DRX still get a huge win.
Massive win for them, and I love the call to go for this Baron with Carrier down, the Ornal removed. This was the setup they wanted, and Carrier plays so aggressive. He tries to get the knock up on the tower, but just misses it, and then he's like, oh, I have no way of getting out. Flashes over the wall instead towards his team. Platter gets thrown over, Frog flashes over, and here, Owner gets in the pit using an ult, but it becomes a melee inside the Baron pit, so hectic. And Yehu ends up getting massive value from this ultimate here. Comes down, hits 3 people combined with Platter. The bigger shockwave hits Goomer as well. And then look at Yehu on the side, just firing. Both Teddy and Platter managed to flash out of that situation, and Frog is just in the mix having the greatest time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, feels really good as Aurelion Soul, where everybody's in one circle, and that is how wide your ult is.
His ult literally perfectly fits in. The E as well. It's at the amount of stacks he has, it just covers the whole thing. And Yehu also 10 Dark Seal stacks, getting insane value out of this pick. This was a late game they needed, and now with the extra experience from Baron as well, Guma is level 10, Teddy is level 14, right? That ult from Yehu, who's closing on level 16, like just the shockwave will do so much damage to the squishy center.
Yep, and it's going to be rough for him to play the game. He's got barrier, and you know, eventually he'll get those levels, but as of right now, T1 are in a bit of struggle street. They do have some nice wave clear with the Azir and the Senna and the Orange, but yeah, just going to hold on for now, essentially, is the case. Is Frog also doing very well for himself in this game, I should say, as he is ahead of Zeus by a level. He's got a couple of items already here. He is going to be that unkillable Renekton as this game comes along.
Yeah, it's really difficult for DRX to hit this tower just because of the threat of the Ornn ult, the Vi ult. So they are struggling to get this tier 1, but it looks like they're trying to move down towards bot for Zeus.
Looking to land a stun or something. The Keeper's Verdict is going to hit the Aurelion Soul away, but the 2 members of DRX are already on the Poppy, and Zeus cannot survive. As that Poppy looking really squishy at this point in the game with the amount of damage that DRX have and the momentum they have.
Yeah, great ult from Yehu, and Frog layers the CC, kills him, and the damage from Sponge is there as well. The Ornal comes in, but not able to connect. Now T1 are gonna try and find something here on Yehu, but they might be in trouble themselves.
Oh, it's a root here on a Owner. He's in a ton of trouble. I mean, look at that massive chunk that the Aurelion Soul is at this point, and the Vi alone is obviously going to be taken down. The only gold lead is on the Orange. As Sponge, he's going to get a flash out of the Senna as well. That means that Guma's going to have less survivability on the next Aurelion Soul ult. This is all just going swiftly downhill as DRX have a massive snowball that they have rolled in this game.
Yep, they managed to get the mid tier 1, they managed to get the bot tier 2, they managed to get some more kills as well. DRX get everything they want. And I just feel like they're playing so well here. Yehu throws down the ult with the E on top. Zeus can't get out. Frog ults for the empowered stun. They kill him. The ult for Morn does nothing. And then here, Platter sneaks up, gets the root onto Owner, and then the flash from Sponge to get the max range stun. They're just playing so well.
Yeah, and it feels like T1 did not expect this level of play. To be honest, I'm sure a lot of people did not. But DRX, prop to them, credit to them. I said today, you know, don't be surprised if DRX get a win, and already they're looking good in game 1. Maybe that series isn't as far out of reach as we expected. Look at that goal difference graph as a couple of huge spikes going one direction.
Yeah, and considering the losing streak that DRX is on, they could be so happy with just how this game is going so far. T1 set up for the Dragon again. It's only a Chemtech, but DRX not going to let them get this one for free.
Yeah, this time around, DRX want to fight for it, as a lot of poke damage is coming out of the Azir. Faker doing a good job of that. But is it going to be effective damage here? As we don't have the empowered ult, and a lot of damage does go into the Dragon, as T1 will take it down. DRX say, okay, you poked us out. We're not going to try to force this one. It's just Chemtech Drake. Doesn't do much for us. And now just kind of chasing T1 through their own jungle. They want to push and get some mid-prio here and maybe take down another turret. But now, Keria gonna throw his ult as the flank is coming in. Sponge in a really rough spot. As now the ult from the Poppy's gonna knock him away. Yehu's all alone on the top side of this one, as these fights have been so messy. Pleta, a massive ult as Faker in a lot of trouble, has to flash away. Keria going in by himself. He's got Guma on the backside. Yehu's gonna go down by himself. Keria is so tanky, but does eventually go down to the human nexus that is Teddy. T1 looking for a little bit more on the chase as the charge comes in from Zeus, and it looks like Pleta will have to give his life for the team.
T1 managed to find that engage, and that's the danger against his composition. Oh, Teddy!
The flash comes in. That's a shutdown for the Vi, and importantly, Teddy will be taken down, and Baron spawns in 15 seconds.
Yeah, they're not going to be up in time to deal with it. Yehu could maybe TP in. Actually, I think maybe they will. Not enough members over there. Faker did go bot. We'll see after the replay. But this is the danger against this T1 composition. Stepping up mid against Yorn, against the Vi. Sponge gets focused down first. And then Yehu's in trouble. I love this from Pleta, though. The flash back in to try and turn it. They know escaping's not going to be too easy. Unfortunately, Faker does get away there. But they kill off Keria once again. That Ornn feeling less and less indestructible. But Baron's been started. This needs to be the focus. Yehu is TPing in. They can contest this.
They absolutely can with Yehu and how gigantic this dragon is. But the Ornn ult comes in as T1 look for the turn, and they get absolutely bombed in the river. Massive damage comes out from the Aurelion Soul. As Yehu, he is going to go down to Faker, though, who is doing an insane amount of damage. And now Zeus and Keria able to win a 2v2 up there. Frog trades one back, but man, that Aurelion Soul ult was insane. And DRX stopped the Baron attempts.
One of the things that got buffed, you know, the nerf to the tap cube with the buff to the ult damage, and you could see it there. And now DRX, they can start it up. They don't have a jungler, but they have a Kalista, and that's all you need.
They got a Kalista, they've got a tank, and this Baron does do a lot of damage. You see Frog is getting a little bit low, and Faker with the Mega Cone is just going to go to the north side here alongside of Zeus and try to fight this straight up. Pleta just trying to avoid it as the Fate's Call, they dodge the ult from the Poppy, but they take out two, and it's only Teddy who does get the Baron. And
wait, Teddy!
1v2ing! Teddy's able to stand up to two, and no! Will take him down at the last moment.
He gets the Baron, he gets Faker, but Zeus is too much for him. DRX, that was definitely a close one for that Baron, but they got what they wanted out of it. Oh man, but a scrapped play, and Sponge gets immediately focused down in this. Unfortunately, has to use his ult to disengage the initial CC. The Ornn ult comes after, but this ult ends up hitting all 5 members.
Oh boy.
The value from Yehu, and then the Zhonya's to dodge away from Faker's ult. Unfortunately, can't win the 1v1 against him, but is definitely done enough to help DRX out in that fight. And then the ensuing Baron take, they get so low in HP. Frog is already low. I love the ult from Teddy, though, just to dodge away from the ult from Zeus to keep Pleta there. Pleta gets an ult to stop Faker coming in.
Okay, 바로 먹을게.
I'll get Baron, he says.
Oh, so close, so close. But he got the Baron. That was the main thing there. Who actually has the Baron?
Nobody.
By the way, nobody
has the Baron.
Okay.
He got it right before Yehu spawned.
Well, the golden XP is something at least. Unfortunately, they don't end up getting any buffs, but Dragon in 50 seconds would be the third for DRX, would be sold for T1. Obviously, Chemtech not the most important. And Guma has really passed that trough we talk about. He's now only 2 levels down on Teddy.
Yeah.
He's at about 100 stacks. This is where the center has sort of gotten through that rough patch and really starting to make an impact. Plus that Edge of Night, so valuable up against DRX and Yehu in particular.
Yeah, he's gonna need that, I would say, against this massive dragon. That is Yehu, who's about to hit level 18 as well. Faker's been doing a lot of damage in his own right, but it's a different type of damage. It's very much just chip damage.
You look at the bottom
compared
left.
to the big bomba from Yehu.
Yehu's very close to the empowered ult, but not quite there yet. If you can get like another wave, that might actually be enough.
Yeah. And they, you know, they don't have a lot of ways to hold people in place as well. I mean, they have like the Nico ult, that would be huge. So maybe they'll rely on that, but just gonna go for the Drake, as they do have just an intense amount of damage. The smite comes in, and the Kalista secures it. And T1 say, well, you get it. We'll try to get mid-prio. Frog in a lot of trouble, goes for the Dominus, is gonna get swept in the team, and Frog is just so tanky though, as the rest of the DRX is coming on over. They want to take the fight. Owner is in a lot of trouble, but the Yehu ult doesn't do that much damage, and down will go the Renekton. And now Yehu's on the run. Pletta's on the other side of the fight, as here comes Faker once again, looking for more. But the peel comes in from Sponge to help out Teddy. Nobody can get on this Kalista, as they're trying to lock the soldiers forward. And Owner, here comes Zeus looking for this, but the Sonya's is gonna keep him alive, and the rest of the team is able to dive under the turret. Zeus is able to lock them in place, as now Teddy, the range from the Senna is too long, and maybe, just maybe, T1 has won a big team fight. I don't think they'll win the game, as now they're trying to get Pleta here, who was just pushing mid, and he will just die.
Yeah, the human nexus, but Guma is now a fountain laser and just runs him down. T1 managed to get a clean sweep in that fight. Pleta trying to push the wave out to stop the game being ended. They will keep their nexus for now, but they lost the fight pretty hard. You see Frog very out of position. And then I've got to say, this ult from Zeus, such high value here. Look at Sponge get knocked away as he was going to jump on Guma usually. And then Yehu, the ult wasn't empowered, unfortunately. They only get a GA. And then the chase down. The slows from this center really starting to be a problem for the side of DRX. Sponge gets caught up by Carrier. And it's this flank from Zeus as well at the end. The Zonya's from Yehu is great, but this Poppy is so tanky.
Yeah.
The tower just not doing enough.
Massive shields too. You know, they have 3 Chemtech Drakes, so it actually does make a decent difference, helps them out there. And eventually, the Fountain Laser, as you mentioned, this time is rather Guma. I'm so used to saying it's Teddy, but this time, Guma is able to lock him down. Just picked up LDR as well.
Yeah, he's fully online, you know. I feel like we've had a lot of games where the center has kind of struggled to transition that point, but T1 have managed to navigate it. Now with the gold lead, and with this center being so strong, 107 stacks, this is the point where the range feels really obnoxious. I will say no rapid fire cannon yet, so it doesn't have that super long range auto we often see, but the consistent range is still very high.
Yeah.
A lot of item spikes coming in. Those ornaments passed out to everyone but Zeus. And Zeus, I'm gonna be honest, he doesn't really feel like he needs one right now. He's so tanky already.
Yeah. Well, he'll have one eventually, but yeah, I mean, this is the moment, right? This is where we were talking about in the draft. T1 should be very comfortable, and yes, Yehu is huge. Again, keep highlighting that, and he does have the most gold in the game, but everybody on the side of T1 has the extra gold from the ornaments, and they have a lot of scaling as well, so they're vibing.
I also feel like Yehu's struggling to really just put out DPS. Like, he gets the big ult, he does a lot of damage, but to actually focus your breath onto these tankier targets feels like he's constantly being challenged on that, on his positioning, so
yeah.
Still has a huge ult, has it empowered right now, which is massive, but I think can struggle to cut through some of these tankier members from T1, and boy, are Zeus and Carrier so tanky right now.
Well, I feel like if he can just kind of bomba Guma and Faker out of a fight, or at least chunk them out to a point where they feel uncomfortable to be in the fight, there is enough damage in the rest of the comp as well.
For sure.
To try to like edge the fight in your favor. And the last time that Yehu had his empowered ult was the fight in Upper River. He didn't have it in the last fight.
Yeah, he was so close but missed out. And this is kind of one of the issues with Aurelion Sol. Obviously a mega late game champion, but the difference between you having that empowered ult or not can be the difference between a won or lost fight. Now, they're clearing Baron vision around the Baron, and they are starting it up. DRX have vision, but T1 have their engagers ready to play interrupt on whoever approaches.
Yeah, I'm looking for this keeper's verdict right now as the ult comes in from Frog. They want to get... Oh, the ult! Massive knockup from the side of Pleta! And the follow-up, but T1 are still turning this one around, but Faker the first one to go down. Guma's also going to hit the deck. The rest of the team, though, is dead on the side of DRX, but this Viego is getting reset. Finally does go down as it's just the 2 tanks left, and the Dragon is just breathing on everyone. A triple kill comes through, and Sage will go down as well. And they have that damage to get the job done.
Pleta with a monster engage. Absolutely massive. Finds the backline of T1. The follow-up from Yahoo is there. Now they're going to look for this Baron. Only 2 members, but this was monstrous. Pleta pretending to be the Aurelion Soul right now. Ends up finding this beautiful angle. The flash. 4 members there. And then the old follow-up on the backline. And they just get melted.
It's kind of insane that the fight was still close after that happened. It's credit to, T1 scaling in their comp, I guess, because they got absolutely bodied with that engage by the side of DRX. And by the end of it, DRX still won, and they still have their Dragon up. They pick up the Baron in live, as you can see, and they're going to keep their Nexus turrets alive. So...
Does look like Soul is up, though, for either team to take it. T1 are getting on the map quickly. We always talk about how the Chemtech Soul isn't that impactful, but with how close the fights are being, any little difference is going to help.
Yeah.
I remember, no empowered ult now.
12k damage, 11.5k damage in the last fight.
Yeah, when he can breathe fire, when he can ult like that, he can get the damage down. Yahoo doing a monstrous amount, and now he doesn't have the empowered ult. They don't end up fighting the Chemtech Soul. T1 will get it, but Yahoo has to be the focus target, I feel. If he gets another ult like that, it might just be game over.
They definitely might. You can see that Jonas Strong, he's keeping it locked on the Dragon right here. 463 stacks, and he's getting very close to that empowered ult. He's a little bit over half, and they really need to prioritize that right now. They do have the Baron, the Red Bull Baron power play, and I think they want to get a little bit of value out of that, but it's such a tense moment in this game as we crest above 40 minutes, and anyone can still win. I mean, DRX could have another big team fight like that, or if T1 get a good angle, they could still win this game. It's anybody's game here at 40 minutes, which doesn't regularly happen. It's just really cool to see.
Yeah, so many scaling elements in these compositions. You see Guma stacks going up, you see Yahoo stacks going up, and it's really the execution that it's going to come down to at this point. T1 have been really strong on these team fights, but Pleta's flash is about a minute and a half away. The value they got from that was massive. And again, this is a composition from T1 where they have 2 carries, right? The Vi is a bruiser, they have 2 tanks, but if Faker or Guma gets caught by that combo, it becomes so much harder to win the 5v5s. Now DRX fishing, seeing if they can find someone here. Yeah, who's still not with that empowered ult. He's grabbing that wave bot lane. You can see the team is just giving him the waves. They know, even though he's full build, him getting the ult is going to be so important.
Yep. And more stacks, always going to feel good.
Oh, yeah.
As well, so he gets them in the bottom lane. He does not quite have his empowered ult yet.
Yeah, I think
one more wave?
He sold Knighton, was looking to buy something there, but I guess didn't have enough money.
He'll get mid wave. I think he gets it here. As we are tied currently with the most kills in summer at 40.
Yeah, and undoubtedly we're going to beat that, right? Because we're not going to have this game end without another kill, so that record will undoubtedly be broken.
And it was DRX too.
Look how close Yahoo is to the ult being empowered. Couple more minions and he's got it.
Yeah.
And then DRX will be ready to look for an angle. Pleta's flash just coming back up as well. But Faker does have a Seeker's Arm Guard this time.
Ooh, that's a lot of damage saves. You got to be careful. I mean, he's tanky, but not against Yahoo.
Yeah, Yahoo is just shredding now. He's got a Rabadon's now, sold the Morel for a Rabadon's, got the empowered ultimate. He is doing the boom boom damage.
This is the definition.
This is what we defined it by. Obviously Aurelion Sol, a very old champion. His ult killed the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the dinosaurs at the time said, wow, that's a lot of boom boom damage.
And that's how it was born.
Yeah, that was the quote. That's how it all came to be.
So now you guys know the lore. But looks like both of these teams are just kind of... There's nothing really big to fight over yet, but we do have Baron and Elder spawning in 2.5 and 3 minutes, respectively. So there is going to be some fireworks here eventually, maybe just before it spawns, or... Yeah. I mean, T1 have more map control at this point in time, but once they back, I would assume DRX push out on the map and get some themselves.
You can definitely see that T1 are just really DRX are so cautious about pushing up because they know the threat of these big ultimates from T1. If someone's overextended, they will just get targeted and go down. And so T1, with that vision and map control, resetting for some wards. DRX ideally want to get some vision out on the map and to contest this, but they're just being cautious about it. A lot of stack checking.
Yeah. It's 506 and 138 on the side of Guma as well.
Whoa, I mean, Yahoo has over 3 times more than Guma.
True.
Yeah.
They are different champions.
Yeah, but, you know, purely on a math basis.
I do appreciate your efforts to trigger Twitch chat, which always seems to work. But yeah, both of these guys stacking very nicely in this game. I mean, 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things with Senna is not only do you continue to stack throughout the entire game in terms of souls, you have so much less gold that you're still actually building items at this point in the game. You know, Teddy's full build, Yahoo's full build, Faker's full build, but Guma still is getting more powerful, which a lot of champions sort of hit their peak at this point and don't have anywhere further to go. But Guma catching up in levels as well, level 16. Everyone else in the game, apart from Pleta, is level 18.
Makes sense. And, you know, you were talking about the extra items being built on Guma, so it's actually effective gold, which at this point, not a lot of people are using gold effectively and efficiently. As Faker's backing on the top side, he's going to get away. I was a little bit worried about that. But, yeah, I mean, DRX are just trying to control the top rhythm. Seems like they absolutely want to go for the Baron here, as it does spawn first, and they do have the damage to try to burst it down. Owner right now is getting red buff for his team. Feels pretty good before a fight to pick that one up, but he is going to get away as well from Sponge, so he's not going to be spotted, and now he's got a nice little flank angle.
Yeah, oh, the ult comes in.
Yeah, the Ornn ult's here. They have to run through the E of the Aurelion Soul, though, and now Owner's a bit far away from the team, so they're not going to follow up on the Ornn ultimate.
You don't run through the E of the Aurelion Soul.
Nope.
You walk through it at a crawl, honestly. Good disengage there from DRX. Ornn ult down is big, but you can see the cooldown ticking away. It's not that long. Oh, Keria!
Uh-oh, Keria. He is going to dash away. He's pretty tanky in his own right at this point. And I mean, the poke from the side of Faker still going to be pretty huge, and they do have the poke from Guma as well. He just has to be a little bit more careful than the Azir. As now the Elder about to spawn, DRX as a team moving on over. Zeus on the chase here, as T1 do not want to give them this one, but they're already getting to work on this dragon.
Yeah, the Callisto secure really makes it a lot easier, but the fight's going to come in.
Oh, the ult there onto the Renekton, but the massive damage there. But Yahoo is alone in the front line. He has to go solo. The Atlanta with the turn, but their dragon is already dead. Down will go Faker, though. Is there a chance, perhaps, for Sponge and Teddy to carry this one? Owner on the chase here. Pleta's going to go down. Teddy's also going to go down. I think T1 have finally broken the backs of DRX in this game one.
They managed to take down Yahoo. The ult looks massive. Pleta gets a big ult, but it's just not enough. And Guma, the Fountain Laser, comes through clutch in this game. T1 able to close it out. An absolute battle to get to this point, and this is just game one and breaking the record for kills in a game this summer. An absolute slugfest.
I mean, this was just insane. 46 minutes. I did not expect to cast a game like this in game number one of this series as well. But T1, they do take down the Nexus. They get the first win of the best of three. And Guma, by the end of it all, the Senna just got out of control, which is something we expected. I feel like DRX are going to feel a bit, they're going to feel like they left a little bit on the table with that last team fight. It was not perfect, but still, props to Zeus. He gets that ult onto Renekton, and then Yahoo's kind of left out to dry.
And I feel like T1 have been in that situation, you know, really intense back and forth games like this so many times. That experience definitely helping to close this one out. But I think DRX, you know, they've been on a long loss streak in series and in games. They really played a fantastic game there, and they should hold their heads high. Going into game two, they should be like, hey, we nearly beat T1. We can definitely take these guys down, as Sponge said. What can we change to make sure we get them in game two? Because they definitely earned a win there. They just couldn't quite get it over the line. So hopefully for game two, they're able to bounce back. But a banger performance. You know, Yahoo had a fantastic game, did 1 million damage. Pleta had some huge ults. Pleta doing almost as much damage as Teddy.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't seen him on any range supports to split apart from one Renata game. Honestly, I could see him on this Nico more. Had a fantastic game. And then on the other side, Guma on the Senna eventually just became unstoppable.
He did. The Senna just scaled out of control and was, in fact, the best scaling champion in this game number 1, amongst all of them. As that's going to do it for game number 1, guys. We're going to take a break and have the space to break down that marathon game, and we will be right back.
가볼게.
쌈 먹으면 될 듯?
못 떴다.
왜 니코야 니코 전면이야.
오케이. 나 이거 솔 쪽 보는 중이야.
네, 벌써 한다.
오케이. 아직
많이 벌어 많이 남았어.
천천히. 솔 본다. 솔.
오케이, 솔.
풀 받을래. 풀 받을래.
브리 있어.
솔 나왔어.
풀리거든.
비고 봐. 빨리.
아래 봐줘야 돼. 아래 봐줘야 돼.
아래 봐주면 이겨.
아래 봐줘.
나 천천히 한점
빨리부터 힘들어.
오케이, 칼리.
아직 빨리 잡았어. 천천히 봐. 빨리 잡았어. 아지르만 봐야 돼. 아지르.
할만해.
나 좋아.
바텀 갈게.
나이스. I don't, yeah, I mean, you can vote for whoever you want. Now, DRX is on the blue side. So, again, they might just do the same thing with some touch-ups here. Let's see how they change it going into game 2.
I think, unfortunately, the problem with a situation like this is that I think there were weaknesses to T1's draft that we clearly saw. And there's also picks that DRX had that they aren't going to get again. You know, you're not going to get that A-Sol again in the second rotation. T1 will ban it. They won't let that go through, and that was such a big reason why it's successful. You won't even get the Nico. In the first part, they saw Pleta's Nico play and said never again, which I think is a valid response because he's
I agree.
Getting some humongous ults. And now the question is, what do DRX take? Sejuani is open and available. If you're to take the Kalista, you don't have the Nico to back it up.
Play Sedge. I mean, there's a lot of talk here from Frog, so I thought maybe they were going to pick like Renekton or something, but it's just Kalista first again. And so Owner buys himself a Sejuani if he would like to play that.
Yeah, they could just take that, could pair up with a strong pick. They could even go like Renekton Sedge on this rotation if they wanted to. Though Zeus, a lot of people have been leading into the Renekton priority. Zeus, not so much. Azir Sedge has been a super powerful 1-2 in the LCK. You know, I say powerful, it's been very popular. You know, it is,
yes.
They're both strong picks. The synergy maybe not there as much as like some other pairings, but looks like Owner's like, no, I'm happy with the Vi into Kalista, have fun playing the game. I think DRX could just go Renekton Sedge themselves here. I think Frog had a good game with the Renekton. You know, maybe you just go in that direction. But it looks like they're gonna secure the Renata. I think this makes sense considering the Nico's gone.
Yeah. They know where their bread is buttered.
Oh,
and
no.
It's the bot lane.
Yeah,
so
they
pick
are,
the bot lane as soon as you possibly can.
They are fully dialed into this. So like, okay, Pleta had a great game. Let's give him Renata. Let's see some big AoE ults. And then Yahoo on the Aurelion Sol again. And look, I read those patch notes. I saw what they said about, hey, high-level play, the tap Q, really powerful. We're going to hit his laning. And a lot of the opinions I heard was, well, he's just not going to be playable in pro. Yahoo seemed to be chilling. He was winning lane.
Yeah.
winning lane. So I don't know, maybe the nerfs to the tap Q were overstated, just a different play style. But Yahoo definitely displayed it can work into Faker's Azir. Now Zeus has picked up the cannon, so exhaust is going to be taken. That's something we know for sure. But now the question is, what will Frog play into it? Because you can't just slam Renekton here.
Remember Sejuani?
Who?
Yeah, you remember the first ban on red side in game 1?
Did you what?
I said that you were Ani. No, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of just funny that we haven't seen it at all, and it's still available for Sponge. They ban out Viego instead. They could just ban it here.
I always find it so funny when, like, a pick that was, like, in first rotation bans, are like, okay, we have to ban something else, let's free it up, and it doesn't get a look in. If they don't ban Sedge now, it would actually be, and then DRX don't pick it, that would be the funniest thing ever. But we'll see how it goes. Well, Renekton going to get banned away, so despite the fact that I think Zeus playing Kennen into Renekton would be comfortable, he doesn't even want to give it to Frog, because Frog, I think, obviously Renekton not going to have the most impact in the late game in games like those. I still think he was a force to be reckoned with, and particularly the weak siding, able to clear out waves and survive dives was really impressive.
Yeah, it was really big for getting them into a position to do a lot of work. I know in the late game he mostly just got Poppy ulted away, but yeah, I do agree. And so they're going to take that away, and there's not a lot of great options into Kennen, to be honest. So the Senna, once again, going to be banned here, and it's just Draven for Guma. So going to try to fight fire with fire and run straight at the Kalista and try to win lane.
Yeah, and Sponge, a lot of Zins out under his belt, so might just lean towards that. I think there's a lot of damage coming out from T1. Very different composition the last time where we said, hey, you know, they're limited in damage threats. The Senna's going to take a long time to come online. They've cut the bulk down, and everyone is playing a champ they can really carry on, I feel, right now. So Zin's out, a lot of value in the ultimate, could also cause some disruption. But it looks like Frog might be going for the Jace here into the Kennen. The Cassante, you know, you're a Cassante. You do what you do. Looks like they'll go for that, so not going to be a winning lane matchup. And this is kind of my concern, is the Aurelion Sol worked fine when you had pressure bot and top. Now you've lost that pressure top, and bot lane, Keria has counter pick.
Yeah.
I could feel like he could take a range support here, and his goal would just be to win lane hard.
Soraka!
Soraka coming out in this one, and it's actually going to make it so hard for Kalista, because the thing with the Kalista is you're focusing damage on a one target, you're stacking up those spears, you're just going to have to keep stacking and stacking and stacking as the target gets healed up. Going to be very hard against the Draven, and the scaling of the Soraka absolutely massive. You can essentially counteract the damage from Yahoo's ult. I think Yahoo definitely needs Oblivion Orb in this one.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we'll see the itemization, I assume, just pull out of healing and support and chanter items, but as you mentioned, I was thinking the same thing. Yahoo ults, well, Keria ults, and then you've got health bars, you don't have as much tankiness, not nearly as much. You don't have Ornn, you don't have Poppy, but you've got a lot of healing, so it's going to be very interesting, and I think it is something that can actually challenge in lane as well, and just heal up the Draven and allow Guma to do the majority of the damage, get a silence down onto some of the members down there. As this sign says, I believe in DRX.
I believe in DRX.
They already made us believers in game 1, even though they didn't win.
Yep. You know, that's the thing. I feel like we talked a lot about the confidence of the team has been shaken by the loss streak. Games like that, even if they lose, should still give them confidence. Now, I think they had a bigger draft advantage in the last game, but they still have tools. You know, we still have Yahoo on the Aurelion Sol. I'm just interested to see how this bot lane goes. Keria whipping out the Soraka.
This is what we wanted to see, and T1 is going to try to get it started much earlier than game number 1. Let's hop into the rings. All right, game number 2, as it is Teleport Exhaust Cassante.
Oh, so this is huge because obviously DRX are like, look, we need Ignite into Soraka. We can't play our 2v2 in the lane without Ignite. It's just unplayable. And they're like, okay, well, Sponge can't take Exhaust. Yahoo can't take Exhaust. Frog's like, you know what? I've got you.
Yeah.
I've got you. I'll take the Exhaust for the cannon. And honestly, you can just run over to the cannon, exhaust the cannon, ult him out of the fight. Like, you know, good luck. Zeus having a big ultimate in this one.
Yeah, I think his positioning is going to be paramount. He's really going to have to find the nice angles to catch them off guard so that at least he gets value at first, and then, you know, maybe he gets exhausted and pulled out of the fight, everything you mentioned. But certainly does feel like a very nice neutralizing pick as a tank into the top lane cannon.
Also, something annoying playing Aurelion Sol into Soraka is what does Aurelion Sol need to do for his Q? Stand still, and use his glide, and then Soraka can just throw a silence on his head. Very unfun to play against.
That's not very nice.
It isn't very nice. You know, it's been... I wonder if we're going to see how long it's been since we've seen a Soraka. It definitely feels like a while. But really hard to trade into with the sustain. And the big thing is if you land a Q, obviously there's the damage from the Q, but also the self-healing for the Soraka and the free W just means that getting hit by like a few too many Qs in lane just make it so hard to play against.
Yep. Yehu is just...
Oh, on the edge of tower range there.
Yeah, he has made it clear that Aurelion Sol is fine.
Yeah. And also, I mean, credit to Yehu's laning this week. Like I said, he obviously tried to tower dive Showmaker that massively backfired, but up until that point was doing really well. You know, first game was laning really well in the Faker, having a fine start so far. Just good to see. Yeah. Soraka can be really annoying. Planet tries to dodge out the Q, doesn't manage to, and it's been 513 days since the last game.
And it was first Keria.
And it was the same matchup. Keria remembered that.
He remembered that. He still beat it with Renata Glask, so he says, you know what, I'll play it better. And
maybe it wasn't about the
probably will.
Renata. Maybe there was other factors, like the fact it was Bro against T1.
Yeah.
That could have been the bigger factor. Maybe it was like, damn, this is such a good lane for Soraka, but unfortunately, we are T1 and they are Bro. And that was the takeaway from the situation. Look at that
damage dealt at 3 minutes. Why are we showing this? I mean, yes, it's exactly what Ox was talking about. So our production team is very much in sync with Ox. Now there is a Xin Zhao on the way, but he's spotted.
Yeah, I think Plato was trying to find a handshake angle there, but now Sponge in trouble.
Uh-oh. He's going to have to go in here. A lot of damage already done to Guma as Sponge goes the opposite way from the Vi, and actually kind of saves him, although he could have just flashed immediately and same result with more health.
I think Ona was threatening the Q flash there, and so Ona just goes in for the Q, forces the flash from Sponge. Big advantage in there, and you can see the difference in this game. Look at bot lane, look how pushed up Guma and Keria are, and look at top lane how pushed up Zeus are. Yehu no longer has the strong side lanes.
Oh, the max range Q, that's a lot of damage, and Yehu's just going to glide away.
He used pretty much all of his health bar there. Good health bar usage, you know. I feel like when you recall that low. But fortunately for himself, didn't run out.
Nice dodge there on the Callista Q from Guma. And this lane is going very well for Guma and Keria. They're ahead on farm just a little bit, and it does feel like, you know, they've got the momentum here. Teddy pretty low on mana.
I feel like a thing as well. I mean, you know, I talked about how...
Oh boy, here we go. They're just going to run them down, and the silence comes in. Putta, the last hit is going to get the job done as, yes, bailout keeps him alive for a little bit, but it's still first blood to Guma already.
And it's working well for T1. Guma already getting the cash in. Wasn't too much gold, but a good start for the Draven lane. And DRX's angle of going this Callista appears to have backfired in this one so far, at least not having a good time. And the thing is, the Draven with gold, with the cash-ins, is going to have a ton of value. But a Soraka winning lane is terrible to play into.
Yeah, it feels really bad. And, you know, it's just really rough because in terms of kite back, you've only got a couple of abilities. Really just one, right? The handshake to try to push the Draven away. The second Guma dodges that, you're just getting run down by a Draven who's getting healed. Like, there's nothing you can do. You never win the trade, so you have to run. But you don't run away from it very well either. So
well, it's a slick dodge from Faker. It does have the ult, does have flash, does have all his abilities. So
it kind of looked like it hit him. But.
It did. So not too much threat there. But yeah, DRX trying to make something happen. Looking towards these top side grubs right now. Ona trying to contest the area. They will start this up. but there is members of T1 around who could come uncontested, so I think DRX, you might have to back off and be happy with 1 or 2.
I think they'll get 2. As T1, they move over, but it's a little bit slow. The mid prio is there, but Yehu's just always threatening coming in. The handshake is going to be utilized. It's not going to hit anyone. His owner's pulled back, and he's just going to get away. And now Faker finds the angle alongside Azeu. Says, yes, the exhaust is there, but Sponge is already dead. Doesn't have his flash anymore. As Pleta and Yehu also get pushed away, and owner's going to pick up 1 grub.
T1 just managing to find these angles, getting engaged, and DRX staying for far too long there. The exhaust on Azez, a little bit late from Frog, perhaps not used to having exhaust as a top laner. And ultimately, oh man.
Got him. It's actually quite impactful. We do have Sponge making his way over. Keria going to be spotted here. Let's see how aggressive he wants to get.
They might be able to find an angle here. Steps up too far, but this is the thing I'm talking about. You know, there's a lot of champions. You know, the Renata's really good into melee champions, but range matchups can be a struggle.
Yep. And
Keria is just harassing so hard constantly. Very difficult to trade back. Your E cooldown is quite long as well. So it's not like you can just E every time a Soraka Qs.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's the ult, and ooh, he nearly even clips Pleta there. I mean, Teddy is just in a rough spot, and Guma's just solo laning at this point. Doesn't even need help from the Soraka. Keria will come back and just make his presence felt. It's just more plates, more aggression, more farm denial from this DRX bot lane.
Having a rough time, and Ona goes to the Dragon, but I think they were very afraid of the prospect of Ona turning a bot with the ultimate. We'll see that replay from the top side. They just had to get out sooner. They end up going for this play, but, you know, they get the grab onto Ona, and then he gets dragged out by the Cassante ult from the Aurelion Soul ult, which isn't doing too much damage. You can see Zayas, the exhaust is so late. His ult has basically done everything, all the damage before it comes through. Again, I think Frog not too used to exhaust, I think is the reasoning up there. And Teddy and Pleta hanging around, trying to pick up farm, but they're just losing plates and slowly getting chipped away at under this tower.
Yeah, I mean, Sponge is on the top side of the map, so with Owner down here as well, they don't know 100% that he is, but they have 0 vision outside of the 1 ward.
Yeah, and
so they have to play safe, otherwise they die.
They recalled and just both bought tier 2 boots because they know getting hit by these rocket Qs isn't fun. They're going to use the walk strategy.
All right, well, that's going to be some aggression here on a Faker. And yeah, walking faster with tier 2 boots, very important. But the damage has already been done down on the bottom side. It's something like 3 or 4 plates even over to Guma and Keria. And the Soraka, as we mentioned, it's not just a lane bully pick into Kalista and Renata. It has a lot of value into this composition as well, especially the burst damage from the Aurelion Soul.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, really common builds we've seen are like the Moonstone Redemption, not specifically on Soraka, just on supports in general.
Yeah.
Like Ivan even in the jungle, but if you get Moonstone Redemption on Soraka, it's like you have 2 full heals in your kit, basically. Like, the value you get from those 2, it's like, oh, they take an Aurelion Soul, okay, everyone's back to full HP from the Redemption. Oh, they get, like, damaged again by maybe Teddy or something, you can just pop the ult and deal with that. It's so powerful for the Soraka in particular. So it's going to be tricky for DRX to win out those 5v5s later, especially if Kalista's not able to really build any items, which is looking like the direction we're going in right now.
Yeah. Well, he's got tier 2 boots and a Vamp Scepter. And a lot of pressure from Sponge on the bottom side. Earlier on, there was that, you know, minute-long stint where they kind of just had Owner in their face. But with Sponge down here, it does look like it's Guma and Keria that will play a little bit more respectfully, not going to, you know, cross the line. And in terms of crossing the line, it's a 3,000 gold lead at 10 minutes here for T1. There's a massive lead in top lane.
Yep.
Mid's, you know, even as we expect. We saw this in the first game. But even the jungle's really far ahead, and the bottom lane is obvious. It just feels like T1... all the plates going down as well, it's just huge. And you talked about it in the draft with DRX not having as many winning lanes and the counter pick for Keria coming up huge. This is what T1 does best.
Yeah, and Guma just picked up a Bloodthirster. I just don't see in any scenario how you actually, like, who has the damage to kill him in the bot lane. Like, I'm pretty sure you need Yahoo and Frog to, like, CC chain him to death if he's going to go down.
Yeah.
You could no longer play the 2v2 bot. I mean, we've already seen them just trying to farm and avoid any fights, but that is going to be how you have to play the rest of the lane. I genuinely see DRX wanting to swap away from the situation in the bot lane, disengage from the bot 2v2, or maybe look to try and go for a tower top or something.
Well, they didn't get the memo yet.
Oh man, this is going to be brutal.
Teddy's also here alone at the moment, so there is a TP though, as Jonas Strong is pointing out here. Let's see if T1 can get away from this one, as that is Yehu. They've got their own TP from Faker. As, yeah, the ult's going to be used by Yehu, but now he's just flashing and dashing away. I mean, that doesn't really do much in the trade of TPs.
I'm actually really glad that Faker TP'd, because if he didn't, I genuinely think Guma Carrier would 2v3, and it would I don't think DRX could take that hit to that confidence. That'd have been brutal. But I honestly think they're at this point right now. I think they're at the 2v3 point. So, good luck.
Yeah.
And Ona's here as well, so it won't even be a 2v3, it'll be a 3v2, which I think odds are even better. They're probably going to look for the dive here. A lot of ults from DRX, a lot of tools to make it difficult, but...
DRX choose now to be the time where they stay. I mean, they do a lot of damage to Carrier here, and T1, it looks like they just want to get the turret, and they don't know exactly where Sponge is, so they're not going to go for the dive.
Well, I'm glad they got damage on Carrier. Carrier is definitely the focus target in any of these situations. I mean, typically, people want to focus the Soraka, but especially when the Draven has Bloodthirster. You need to kill the Soraka and then hope that Guma lets you run away.
Yeah.
It's unlikely, but, you know, you just try it.
Just ask him nicely. Maybe
Yeah.
he'll consider it, and then he'll just throw axes at you.
Yeah, maybe ult. Oh, Planet can ult Guma, and then Guma can kill Carrier, and you can be like, thanks.
Yeah, that's you know.
Imagine if he got the cash in for that.
We're finding the angles here. That is really the only angle, one of the only angles we can see in this point in this game. Yehu's in a bit of trouble. Devi is finally going to use her ult, and the silence comes down so you don't get a dash away. You talked about how valuable that is into the Aurelion Soul, and we see it on display already 13 minutes into the game.
Yep, and this is the punishment for using that flash in the bot lane, and Teddy is 1v1 against Guma now.
He's going to try to go for the 1v1 here. I'm not sure exactly why. Just trying to push him off the turret or
He sees
something.
his health bar get low, and he's like, oh, I might be able to find this. He took a tower hit, and then Guma autos, and his health just goes back up, and you're like,
Yeah. It's like 10% per auto. It's like, oh. Yeah, that's going to be the first turret blood going over to Guma.
One of the interesting things with Draven is the extra damage from his axes doesn't crit. So you can crit on an axe auto, but the bonus damage from the Q doesn't actually, isn't multiplied. But it does get impacted by lifesteal, which is why Draven so often rush things like Bloodthirster early, because your autos are doing so much damage, and you get so much healing compared to like any other champion in the game on the back of it. Here's that replay. The ult in a... What is the counterplay? There is none.
Yeah, I mean, he actually dashed before the Vi ult, but even if he didn't and he tried to save it, he was silenced. So
Yeah.
it just, there's no winning on either side of that play. Look at the difference in plates. I mean, it's 10 plates to 0. And the laning phase dominance from T1 has really left its mark on this game number 2. It's not going to look anything like game 1 unless DRX get a massive turnaround. But they're going into Guma, who is a one-man army, and he has the rest of his team with him, as now going to get the handshake on here, the engage Renata, but the massive cannon ult on top of everybody, and yes, the exhaust will help out. Down will go the cannon, down will go Zayas, but the rest of the team looking to follow up here. They're not quite able to, though. A lot of health bars are low, as here comes Faker. The sweep gets nobody, and they're just all going to get away.
So we're going to miss. Honestly, considering DRX had a pretty good fight there with the deficit, and with the ult that came in from Zayas, I thought that was just a clean sweep. But Frog's exhaust, insane value here. Let's look at the timing of how soon he got it down.
Yeah.
But we see that initial engage. Planet finds Faker. They combo the ults after.
Here.
Yeah, gets the exhaust in. I couldn't see because he was hidden by DRX, man.
Gets like 1 or 2 ticks.
Yeah, so not too bad. But ultimately, I think it would have just been an ace, pretty much, if he didn't get the exhaust down at all. Then Faker's fishing, but doesn't find anything.
Yeah.
So all things considered, could have been a lot worse for DRX, considering the deficit. They are 5,000 gold behind.
Yeah.
But still showing how precarious things are in this game for them.
Yeah, really feels like They just barely got away, and they're very lucky to do so, but it doesn't really change the state of the game. I mean, they were able to shore up, I think, about 1,000 gold, and that's about it. Teddy's doing okay, all things considered. Like, we've talked a lot about how insanely far ahead Guma and Keria are, and they are. By the way, Redemption Rush here from Keria.
Yeah.
No Moonstone just yet. But at least Teddy's, you know, he's not that far behind. He has a kill. He didn't die. But I do wonder if he's going to be able to utilize any of the farm he's gotten in this game as it comes along, because there are just so many threats on the side of T1.
Yeah. And Cloud Soul Kennen sounds pretty good.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest. I think a big thing, though, is that Guma got that cash in very early on. So I don't know the exact number of stacks right now, but he probably has a good amount built up. The game's in a bad spot for DRX. I'm not going to spin it any other way. But if Guma gets another kill or dies before so, that could dictate whether DRX even have a hope. If he gets a cash in for like 1,000 gold, it's just over.
Yeah.
If they kill him, maybe win the next fight, they're still in a bad spot, but there's hope at least.
You got to hold on to hope because they don't have much else. And you saw, you know, Pletty, he was looking for the handshake. The Empowered Ultimate is available here for Ye, who's also level 11. It's very early on in this game. He only has Rylai's. And they're looking for an angle maybe on a Faker who is considering taking that dangerous path. Would be a very Faker thing to do, but not going to happen. Here comes Frog from the right side. He's going to be spotted, and they immediately just back away.
Yeah, I think DRX, knowing that T1 had their sight set on that mid-tier 1 and won't let it go down, using the full force of their team to try and defend it.
Uh-oh. Just going to face check into the Xinjiao. Now it is a Azir, and he is going to dash away, but now we got the ult on top of him as well. He's going to get the knock-up on the Faker. Here come the heals from the Soraka, and the Redemption to keep him alive! It's just not fair, as Faker, his side lane shenanigans are only empowered by the power of Soraka.
Look at Keria. He's not even there, just walking around like, yep, I carried, I did that, I made the difference. Massive value on both of those. Owner as well, getting the ult to keep him alive just for the redemption to come through. And we often talk about the impact of Karthus in side lane fights, but you can clearly see this Rocket could do the same thing, and now they have to back off from this tower.
They absolutely do. That's the Fate's Call used just in trade for the Whirling Death.
I think they actually keep it alive, so isn't all doom and gloom right now. But
it pretty much is.
It's a lot of doom, mostly gloom, like 90% gloom.
Yeah.
I think
it's pretty cloudy today.
Sponge felt pretty doomed here. And unfortunately, Yehu has to walk around the soldiers so can't get the damage down. The ult comes through 306, and then it's Redemption, the ult, and 433 for the Redemption. So like 750 extra health to burn through. A bit of a pain for the side of DRX.
Yeah. Who needs tanky stats when you just have a Soraka to keep you alive?
Look at Guma's items, and he hasn't cashed in for 8. I really want to see his stacks. I want to know what stacks he's on.
I'm thinking like, I'm going to say like 425 is what I'll guess.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like, I was thinking like maybe like 360, because he did cash in earlier.
Yeah, it was really early though.
That's true.
I don't think he would have had that many stacks in the first kill. But
that's not wrong, but obviously, you know, you have to build them up again.
Yeah.
Even if he loses, like...
He's had a lot of free time, though, to just, you know, juggle axes.
He's got really high farm. Because the thing is, like, you can see his farm and judge on that, but also it's you get the bonus ones for, like, perfecting a wave, so... I'm assuming Guma's doing that, but... Yeah, we'll find out.
Someday we'll see.
At
Eventually.
some point in the future, we will see the number of stacks.
Yeah. Well, you see the damage dealt. Zeus currently, after bullying a Cassante for the entire laning phase and getting multi-man ults 2 times in a row.
You know, normally, I'm just going to say I don't condone bullying. But when you say bullying Cassante, I'm like, well, yeah, he kind of deserves it.
In League of Legends.
In League of Legends specifically.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the champion, not the player.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No
bullying, no frog bullying.
Frog's doing great. One of the new guys on campus.
Yeah, obviously he didn't have a fun time playing the Zeus in the top lane, but he's been doing okay, all things considered.
Yeah.
Sponge having the roughest game. We saw the XP difference there between the jungles. Owner's level 13 and Sponge is level 10.
How is Owner level 13?
He has a lot of farm.
175, yeah.
Some of which is his, a lot of which is Sponge's.
He's had a lot of free
Now
time to do basically whatever he wanted.
did a lot of
this game.
yoinking.
Yep. I still
Yeah,
don't know how
Sponge
many
is the
stacks
same,
we're at.
Sponge is the same level as Platter. As Brendan looking at his messages, seeing if anyone's telling him about the stacks.
No stack messages.
They just denied.
Unlucky.
The thing is, maybe you made your prediction and you were super spot on, and they're like, let's wait until it's 100 higher, so it looks like he's wrong.
Or I was way too far ahead and they're just waiting until it's exactly
That would be nice if they did
425.
that, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. Okay,
Yeah.
we keep cycling through the same players. We don't get to see Guma. You know, they were doing a fantastic job of showing us the Yahoo stacks last time.
Oh, there it is, right as you
179.
say it. Yeah.
But, oh, maybe I have the power. Draven stacks? Draven.
Hey, 497.
I do have the power!
So when I said it, I think I was right.
No, you were way off.
No, I think I was
no,
exactly right, because now it's way far ahead of your prediction, Ox.
I'm pretty sure you said 525.
No, well, that's even
you-
closer.
No, because now he's gotten more stacks. Look, stop making things up. I think the true amazing thing is that I am the one with the power, because I said if
That was pretty
stacks
amazing.
came up, and then
Yeah.
I said Draven stacks and it came up, so...
That was pretty cool. I'll give you that.
I think the big takeaway is that not only does Guma have a ton of stacks, so if he gets a kill, he gets close to 1 million gold, but also his ult execute now is just 500 damage.
Yep.
So like, if Teddy is at, let's say 700, 800 HP, the ult will just one-shot him and give Guma over 1,000 gold.
Yeah, and that's like a third of his health. So it's a significant chunk of his health bar
Yeah.
that will just be executed if it hits. So a couple of axes, maybe 2, 3, a little bit of extra damage. You throw an ult, he's just dead.
Well, I think the obvious solution is don't get hit.
Yeah, just don't play with the enemies. And you know what? That's exactly what DRX are doing. They're just sitting back. They give the Cloud Drake over. They can't give the Baron over, so they are trying to get some vision around this pit right now. And they're doing a good job of that. Looks like T1 not really in position to deny this at this point in time. It doesn't look like they want to rush at the Baron either. I think that, you know, sitting around waiting and then eventually giving Guma a good chance to just get the kill is probably better.
It's risky going for the Baron when Guma has so many stacks. They'd rather find a pick, because if you go to the Baron, and even if you get the Baron but Guma dies, you'll feel pretty bad about it. One thing to be said though, normally teams without like that many tanky members can struggle doing Baron because you get chunked down so much, but
Uh-oh, here's the kill! But he does have exhaust, and it is Cassante. Look at Zeus, he's trying to help. The cleanse comes in. Guma has to flash away, and he's still gonna get the execute. Jesus! And that's a kill. Now, they do have TP here available on Zeus. I don't know if they can really commit to this DRX, as now the TP comes in.
they've got to do it, they've got to do it.
It is a little bit late, but Owner's in the pit. He's ulting on the backline. Sponge is dead. Oh no, it's disaster for DRX. It's an easy smite for T1. And this will be pretty much the end of the game, as massive amounts of golds went to the Draven. The Baron's going to go to the hands of T1. And they're already even pushing mid, as Owner's just going to chase Pleta and keep him off the map. Zeus says, I want a piece of the action as well. And Owner will pick up the kill. T1 running away with this game.
I don't think that could have gone worse for DRX. I genuinely think if you said, what is the worst thing that could happen right now? That would have been it. That was exactly it.
Yeah. That exact scenario.
It's actually funny how Frog really gave Guma a jump scare. You can see Zeus was kind of like, you got him right, you're good.
Yeah.
He like hand walks him, he's like, okay, there's your kill, go and take it. Here you go, buddy, you got this one. You can do it by yourself. And then he's like, oh no, it's Cassante. Just like half HP's him, he has to cleanse the exhaust. He's like, get me out, get me out.
And then this.
Dude, he's insane.
That's a Cassante.
Yeah, I mean, your resistances do nothing to 2 damage. And then here, Sponge dies to the Baron.
Yep.
Baron just decided it is not Sponge's day. Yeah, so Sponge dies. Baron's taken. DRX dies. Guma gets about 8 billion gold.
Approximately.
Roughly, give or take.
He has 3.5 items at 25 minutes.
Yeah, if you round up to 8 billion, it's about 8 billion gold.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of items. I kind of want to, for science, of course, for science, I want to see him auto someone. See how much damage it does.
Yeah. All right, let's see it. Come on, Guma.
I think ideally Teddy.
Jay's just going to press his buttons. He's just flashing on them, and they're all dead. It's another execute to come in. And yeah, that was an auto as well onto the Xin Zhao. Other stuff is happening, but I'm just watching the Draven one-shot people. As, yeah.
Oh, are we going to see how much damage it does? Because he killed Planet, but he was on HP. Oh, there's Teddy. Run to him, Guma, run to him. That's surely one auto.
You're like, nah, it's not worth it.
The thing is, he has a decent amount of crit, but if he doesn't crit as well, it's not the same.
Teddy's like, oh, I'll just stop the wave. Wait, they already have a wave. And, well, guys, this game is over. I'm sorry that game number 2 is not nearly as fun as game 1. But T1 really bopped them over the head.
Oh, that's a Cassante.
Yeah, that's a Cassante. He's nearly dead. Just 3-4 autos down to that health as, yeah, Owner might go down here. The Nexus is very low as are they going to hit the Nexus? Okay, they finally do. And that'll be the end of game 2. T1 take the 2-0 tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit unfortunate. We obviously, the draft, I feel like in game 1 had a lot of advantages for the side of DRX. The draft in game 2, not as good. They got kind of picked bot lane. That was great from Guma and Carrier bringing that out. Top lane matchup, they didn't have the pressure. Mid, yeah, who did fine, but the difference in scaling mid, winning sides, and scaling mid, losing sides is night and day. Sponge suffered a lot because of that, and he could just never really recover. I think Owner had a pretty fantastic game on that one, but Carrier played Soraka carry, apparently.
Yeah.
With the damage done. Damage done at about 2 minutes highest in the game, which is the stat we're tracking right
939. Yeah.
I've never seen a Soraka in the LCK this year do that much damage at minute 2.
Yeah, I remember last year there was a Soraka, but not this year. Everybody on the side of T1 seems like they're almost tired. They're like, oh, well, we got through this one.
Well, game 1 was a slugfest, let's be honest. DRX willing to bring it out. And obviously game 2 is a rough one, but I hope DRX don't get disheartened. They are capable of the play that can earn them wins, but consistency's been an issue, and also there's just a lot of teams who are big challenges for them in the LCK, and that's one of the problems I feel like looking at the schedule ahead. The next 2 matches are Bro and then BNK FairX. Bro definitely beatable. BNK FairX, I think if they play like they did in game 1, maybe, but they've been on a big upswing. It's going to be a hard one. Then they face Gen G and Honor Life Esports. Let's not even discuss that concept.
Yeah.
And they finish off with KT and Quantum Freaks. So I think making playoffs is going to be a big ask with their remaining schedule, but I just hope DRX start to get some wins on the board. They need to beat Bro and break that losing streak. But this game was not the one to do it. The damaged Soraka coming out, who just, it was like normal support Soraka, except Carrier pressed Q a lot. But we saw some of the fights got quite scrappy in this one. Zeus getting some big ults, but the Frog Exhaust was some interesting tech that did work, let's be honest.
Yeah, I think it's good. It didn't really help the bottom lane, though, not going Exhaust, but it gave them the best chance. I think, you know, you kind of have to accept the loss somewhere, and it just led to Frog kind of being in a rough spot in the lane. Eventually, he did have the Exhaust for the team fights, but
yeah,
the team just got way too far behind in the lane. I
feel like Frog's been doing a really good job. His laning's been solid. I feel like his impact in team fights has been good, and I think even though they haven't been able to break the lose streak, I think it's clear that the team looks better with Frog than they do with Rascal. So I hope they keep playing him, give him time to grow. And look at this, right? So he ults there. He does get, okay, the auto and Sponge did a lot of damage, you're going to see that. But then Plet is like 1 HP anyway. And then he ends up going for the end. And I want you to watch, Brendan. I mean, I'm sure you saw the first time round. But the game-ending push, Guma's Restraint didn't auto a champion once. Only Nexus. And I just feel like
I would not be able to do that.
That's very Guma, but also, come on, you've just got to auto champions and see the big boom boom damage.
He does it here against Frog.
Yeah.
At least.
He's like, okay, I'll zone the Cassante out, he's scary. And then in the final push,
boom, 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 boom. But then, yeah.
Like, everything's falling apart around him, and he's like, I'm killing the Nexus no matter what.
Yeah, look at
like, Sponge is there, he's like, Nexus, Nexus, Nexus.
Gets the heal from Carrier.
It's technically the correct play, But, you know, that's why Zeus did more damage. Zeus was like, I hit champion.
He did, and I love how at the ending fight, he was like, you know what? They don't have flash. I'm just going to flash under the turret and ult them. He didn't have Zhonya's, didn't matter. He did his damage, did his job, died, but he has highest damage number, which is really all that matters at the end of the day.
That's why we play this game, for the biggest damage number. That's what media's going to vote for. So
yeah,
I think that's what you're looking for in this one.
We'll have to wait and see what media votes for, but guys, we are done here on the cast for now. We do have another series later, KT versus Nongshim, but let's let the space break down this one of T1 versus DRX.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POG interview translation, joined by Zeus and Gumayushi on the side of T1. Congratulations! Zeus, with the consecutive victory, you guys are back on momentum. How do you feel? Yeah, being able to get our consecutive victory after a long time, I feel like it feels also like it's been such a long time since we got a clean 2-0, so it feels great. And Gumayushi, you finally got your first POG. How do you feel? To be honest, I thought I was gonna get POG in game 1, but I didn't get it, so I told myself maybe today's not my day for the POG, but being able to get POG in the second game and being able to win is very great. And Zeus, there were moments of struggle, but you've shown T1's true powers again with a decisive victory. So what changes did the team go through? I feel like we faltered before many times, and I believe that we are very capable and we know how to get back on our feet. So I think our mindset is that, you know, no matter how many times we may slip, we can always get back on our feet. So I think that's how we were able to win. And so how did you manage to uplift the team spirit, Gumayushi? Honestly, I haven't personally had a lot of energy myself, so I didn't try to uplift the team on my own, but I think we were always trying to communicate as a team, and we had really healthy discussions as a whole team to try to get back and get ourselves back in the game. And Zeus, in Game 1, the draft seemed to align well with T1's style and preferences, so can you walk us through the draft? I think for me personally, I just really tried to focus on the team fight, and I tried to CS as well and just try to scale. And this summer, Top Poppy hasn't won a single game, but you took Poppy as the R5 pick. So what was the reason behind this pick? I think Poppy is a really good late game champion. And just because the enemy had a lot of champions that actually struggle against Poppy, I think that's really the main reason we ended up taking Poppy in the end. So let's take a look at this next highlight. You knocked Renekton out with ult and zoned out Viego. So what was your read on the team fight? You know, I actually ulted the Aurelion Soul before and he just flew back in. So I told myself, let's just use my ult on the Renekton. And I think, you know, it was just so chaotic that I really wanted to hit my ult on the right target, but it was really confusing at times. And Gumayushi, in Game 2, we got a Draven along with Soraka after 513 days. So how did you come up with this pick? I didn't realize that it took so long for Soraka to come back. But I feel like Draven and Soraka is such a... It's actually such a classic duo comp, so I think that's why we went with these picks today. And like the Caitlyn Lux last time, you guys seem to draft around bot prio, so what was the concept of today's bot lane picks? I think we just pick whatever we need with our comp. And I just knew that Draven has a good matchup against Kalista. Yeah, Draven's presence was overwhelming this game. And this champion actually can struggle in the late game, but you were able to scale from the start. So walk us through how you pulled this off. First of all, just getting the solo kill in the laning phase actually gives you a lot of edge, and it actually lets you snowball snowball really well. So just because I was able to play so well early game actually just paid off. So let's take a look at this next highlight with the insane execute damage by Draven. And you were dragged by Xante, but you calmly dealt damage. How did you calculate the damage so perfectly? Honestly, I was not calm. I got flustered because Xante is so strong. But just because I had so many stacks with my ult, I just told myself I will kill him with my ult stacks in the end. So next Wednesday, you will face D plus Kia. What is your resolution, Zeus? You know, D plus Kia has been playing so well lately, and I think they're strong, they're a great team. And I want to make sure that we are prepared with just as strong performance. And I think we have a pretty rough schedule next week, so we will make sure that we are ready. And Gumayushi, yeah, they're a good team, but I do believe that we can be even better, so I will make sure that we do our best to be prepared for the next match. And what do you want to give any shout out to your fans? Yeah, the next week's schedule will be crucial for the playoffs, so I want to make sure that we win as much as possible. And we want to upkeep our winning streak in a good momentum and atmosphere. And Gumayushi, I'm just happy that we're able to win 2 times this week, and I want to make sure that we do the same and get 2 victories next week as well. And that's the end of the interview from Zeus and Gumayushi, and back to the space. Thank you.